Hey everyone, welcome back to Rip City Rundown, and today we are talking about just the recent slide the Blazers have been on. 4-game losing streak. It has been an absolute brutal week and a half. It's a tough time to be a Blazer fan. There are a lot of things running through my head. I don't really know where to start. We decided not to do a podcast. We're just all really busy with school right now. So I am doing a 10-minute rant video. I'm not going to really rant because I feel like I can do better than that. But I'm going to tell you what the Blazers are doing really badly and what the Blazers need to fix because it has been a rough week and a half. We went on a 3-game road trip to Minnesota, to Indiana, and to Toronto. Then we had a home game against Orlando, which is usually a layup win with considering how bad the Magic have been recently. And we lose all 4 games, and all 4 kind of have a similar story. We're going to talk about some turnovers. We're going to talk about Dame and Ant and just their struggles shooting the ball. And we're going to also talk about how the bench is just a rough scene right now. Let's get into it. All right, first the turnovers. The turnovers have got to stop. I feel like I'm a broken record at this point. It's so frustrating and irritating to watch every game and watch the Blazers commit unforced live ball turnovers. Dame has turned the ball over a lot. Ant has turned the ball over a lot. Nurk has turned the ball over a lot. And even when Nurk doesn't have the ball, he's setting illegal screens. And every time the Blazers have momentum in these games, it gets killed because we commit turnovers. Quick statistics. 18 turnovers versus Indiana. Probably cost us the game. We'll get into the Indiana game in a little bit. 22 turnovers versus the Raptors. You're not going to win an NBA game when you turn the ball over 22 times. I get the Raptors have a unique defense. They're long and athletic. They don't run a traditional 5. You can't turn the ball over 22 times. Can't happen. 16 turnovers versus Orlando. 16 turnovers versus Minnesota. Again, a little bit above average. It's kind of sad that 16 turnovers is on the better end of the spectrum when it comes to turning the ball over for Portland. The Blazers have got to get the turnovers down. It is costing us games. And coupled with these other things, you can see why the Blazers can't win a game right now. Okay? We can't win a game. The second reason, Damian Lillard and Anthony Simons cannot shoot right now. I'm not calling them bad shooters. They're elite shooters. But right now, they are both in some bad slumps. Simons has just looked very inefficient recently. Dame can't get his shot to go. In that Magic game, I felt like Dame had 3 or 4 threes that were like momentum swinging threes that in the past. And when he's on, he's draining those. Blazers win the game. I believe the Blazers shot 5 of 36, 5 of 37 from 3 or 6 of 35 or something like that against the Magic, and we lose by 3. Absolutely horrid shooting display. That's why we lost. Dame and Ant can't shoot. Get ready for these. They combined for 3 for 14 from 3 against Minnesota, 5 for 19 against Indiana, 6 for 16 against Toronto, and 4 for 21 against the Magic. Now, the way the Blazers are constructed currently, the Blazers rely on the backcourt to be able to shoot the ball, especially coming into the year. The Blazers put a lot and invested a lot in Simons to be able to create, shoot, and score efficiently. He's getting paid over $100 million now. Dame is going to get a $250 million here soon, and that's going to start kicking in. The backcourt needs to be able to shoot. I know it sounds rudimentary and simple, but they have to be able to shoot the ball at least at a better percentage than this. Because when you're throwing bricks and you're turning the ball over, you're not going to win games because the Blazers don't have perimeter scoring threats outside of those two. Jeremy Grant has been a revelation from 3. But I don't think the Blazers coming into the year expected Grant to be this good. Grant's been a cherry on top. Kudos to him. Even though he's been in a little bit of a slump recently too, that was expected. He was not going to spend the whole year at 45% from 3. The backcourt has to be better. The backcourt needs to shoot the ball better and turn the ball over less, quite frankly. But yeah, can't happen. Lastly, the bench is just a mess. The bench is a mess. Jabari Walker, Drew Eubanks, Watford has gotten some run, Sharp, Keon Johnson. These are all young guys, or in Eubanks' case, very specific players that fill a very specific role. You can't be asking Drew Eubanks to play 30-plus minutes a night if you want to be a contender. And I think Blazers and Blazers fans know this, but Eubanks had a great start to the season, and now the bench has fallen off. The bench is struggling immensely. Against Toronto, we had 3 bench points. 3 total bench points, and that was Sharp. Sharp scored 3 points. I get that Winslow has been hurt. I get that Nas has been hurt. Gary Payton even has been hurt, and now he's coming back in the rotation. Hopefully he can provide a spark. But the bench has got to be better. The bench has got to offer some more resistance to the opposing bench when the starters are out. Because the starters have done their best. They're playing 38 plus minutes a night. Simon's played like 43 against Orlando. But you can't do that every night. The bench has got to step up, whether it means get guys back healthy or just the young guys actually figuring it out. I need Sharp to start to, if this is the current bench group right now, Gary Payton second's the leader of that bench group, and I need Sharp to show me something. Sharp's got to be a leader. I get he's a rookie, he's the 7th overall pick, but with who you're playing out there, you have the most expectations on you because you're the most talented. So I need you to play like you can, because Sharp's had performances where he scored 15 plus. I believe he had 17 one game. I mean, he has shown that he can be a scorer off the bench. Now, the next step for Sharp is to learn to be a professional, learn to do it night in, night out, whether you want to or not, whether you feel like you can or not. You get your numbers, you help your team win. That's what Sharp needs to learn how to do, because right now the bench is struggling. Okay, let's just run through each game. And it's frustrating because the Blazers had a chance to win each game on this 4-game slide. We battled with Minnesota. We shot 42 free throws against Minnesota. I believe Minnesota shot 36. It was just a whistle-happy game, very choppy, very physical. But the Blazers were right there at the end. The offense went cold. I believe Simons had 5 fouls. Eubanks had 5 fouls. Nurk had fouled out. And Anthony Edwards was just allowed to cook. It was a game where it was super physical, but you weren't allowed to touch anyone, really. It was whistle a foul. I don't know how many personal fouls were called, how many actual times the ref blew the whistle to call foul, but I gave you the free throw numbers. It was a choppy game, but that's no excuse for the Blazers. That's a game you can pull out. You had just beaten that team twice at home. Dame had 11 threes in one of those games. Very winnable game. You lost. And honestly, it was one of the better games on the trip in terms of turnovers and shooting. Okay, Indiana. What happened in the Indiana game? Well, turnovers and just ice-cold shooting. Ice-cold shooting. The Blazers in the fourth quarter did not record a made field goal in the last 6+ minutes of the game. They didn't make one shot in the final 6 minutes. They lose 108-99 to Indiana. They were there the whole way. It was a back-and-forth game. They had the lead for a little bit. Indiana grabbed the lead for a little bit. And of course, like most NBA games, it came down to the last half quarter, and the Blazers went absolutely ice cold. Ice cold. It was really frustrating to watch because it's a game that you win if you hit a few shots. And I feel like that's been a lot of these games. But the Blazers have not afforded themselves any room to miss or any room to fail during the game because they're turning the ball over, they're shooting the ball poorly, they don't have a bench, they're kind of getting out coached right now. So the Blazers have to play good, fundamental, solid basketball in the last 6 minutes of the game and just out-execute the other team, when instead, if they just played like that the whole game, they'd have a nice lead in the fourth quarter, and they would be able to afford a couple misses here and there, maybe a turnover here and there. But they're giving up so much in the earlier part of the game, they got to play perfect basketball down the stretch. Now, I get against Indiana, they played the definition of unperfect basketball, because 0 made shots in the last 6 minutes does you nothing. But, again, another loss. Turnovers, we had 18. Again, we lose the turnover margin every game, and that's a big factor. It's a big factor in why all these teams get easy baskets against us, so we have to fix that. Let's go to Toronto. Probably not considering shooting, the ugliest game. It was a Sunday matinee north of the border. And I'm going to commend the Blazers for fighting. They fought. They fought really hard. They were down double digits multiple times. They went on a great run in the second quarter to cut the halftime lead to about 5. And then the second half opened up, and what happened? The Raptors jumped out, regained their 15-point lead, and the Blazers got absolutely bombarded to start the half. Starting to be a trend. Again, the Blazers struggled to score the ball. The Raptors defense keyed in on Dame. Ant was really unable to get anything going. Nurk and Jeremy were struggling. The problem with the Blazers offense right now is it's hard to get some momentum. You make a few shots, turnover, miss shot, turnover, and you're back where you are. The Blazers have got to find a way to string together solid possessions. I'm not asking you to make every shot. I'm not asking you to outscore teams by 20 every quarter. I'm just saying if you get a decent look every time down the floor, you have the shooters, you have the backcourt, you have the front court, you have the players, you have the talent. It's just maximizing your opportunity. When the Blazers are 28th in the league in turnovers percentage, they turn the ball over, I think, a little under 17% of the time. That's 1 every 6 possessions is a turnover. So say you have, I don't know how many, just say you have 100 possessions in a game. And you're already costing 16 possessions right there. You're costing, at worst, if you score a point per possession, which is trash, you're costing yourself 16 points. Now, I get that's tough. It's not perfect to say it like that because it doesn't make sense to look at a basketball game like that, but it's just food for thought. The Blazers are wasting possessions. They cannot do that. They cannot do that. Toronto was a really rough game. 22 turnovers. 22 turnovers. I don't know how many of the Raptors scored off of those turnovers, but it was more than enough to win the game. And the Blazers were there at the end. That's what's so frustrating. You're down 5 with 3 minutes to go, and you're like, man, if we had 12 turnovers instead of 22, we would be right here. But the Blazers are shooting themselves in the foot right now. Last but not least, Orlando at home. Orlando's a lottery team. I get they're playing well. They have some pieces. They have the Rookie of the Year. They're a lottery team. On the road. Back-to-back. Second night. And the Blazers lose to that team. Damon Ant shot 4 of 21 from 3 versus Orlando. The Blazers turned it over 16 times. And lost by 3. The Blazers got down by 15 in the first quarter. They got destroyed to start the game. They fought back in the second quarter to tie it at 50, and they got destroyed to start the second half, and they go down 15 again. And they didn't score, I believe, for the first 4 minutes of the quarter. Again, it's hard to diagnose just a 4-game sample because you don't know what's up. We know the turnovers is a trend. The turnovers have got to stop. But we don't know if the shooting is... Like, the shooting is just an aberration, hopefully. It's just an outlier in a season where we've been decent to good shooters. But when you're a team that turns the ball over so much and you don't have a bench, you're not afforded the missed 3-pointers. Here's a perfect example. The Bucks are one of the best teams in the league. They played the Raptors, I guess it would have been about a week ago. The Bucks shot horribly. The score was like, they scored 11 points in the first quarter. But they were down 15-11 because they have defense. They have a deep roster. They have a bench. So they're afforded and they're able to win without shooting well. They don't turn the ball over that much. They play great defense. They play team defense. They play team basketball. So they don't have to go shoot 40+% from 3 every night. The Blazers win these games. They win all 4 if Dame and Ant shoot 40+% from 3 in each game. They win the game. But you can't expect that every night. This is going to happen. Shooting comes and goes. Defense is what travels. Taking care of the ball is what travels. The Blazers have to be a fundamental team in terms of defense, not blowing assignments, playing good team defense, help defense, pick and roll defense, post defense. I don't care. Play defense. Point of attack defense. Dame has got to be a better screen defender. I get he has not been good his whole career, and that's fine. He does so much on the offensive end. But I need effort. And part of this comes back to having a deeper team. If you have a deeper team, you can rotate guys more. But we just don't because we don't have a bench. So these problems are circular in my opinion. The Blazers are really struggling right now. Blazer fans out there, trust that we'll fix this. Trust there are better days ahead because there are. It is tough right now though. Thank you for coming to my rant / just diagnosis of this team right now. I took a day or two after the Orlando game to let the feelings settle a little bit because I was definitely really hot-headed after that game. I was really upset, so I wanted to clear my mind, bring you some analysis. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.